greatly appreciated. As has been reported in Politico, Mr. Romney is coming to my district tomorrow to send a message to me. I think it is far more important that Michigan send a message to Mitt. That's why in our district, especially at a very difficult time in our economy, I have with me two individuals that know how to help grow prosperity and restore job creation. I have with me Mr. Wes Smith from E&E Manufacturing, who's talk about Mr. Romney's policies affect manufacturing. I have with me Dr. David Janda, who can talk about how Mr. Romney's policies affect patient-centered healthcare and the economy as well. Then I will wrap up and take your questions. With that, I'd like to turn to Wes Smith, who's been kind enough to allow us to use this facility.
My name is Wes Smith, and I'm the president and owner of E&E Manufacturing. E&E Manufacturing was started by my father in 1962. We currently have facilities in Plymouth, Michigan and Athens, Tennessee, and we employ a total of almost 400 people. And I find it incredulous that someone who was campaigning for the top job of this country could come to this district who did not support the help that the auto companies received in 2008 and 2009. If it was not for that support that was extended to these folks, we would, quite frankly, not be in business. Neither would many of my peers. As a matter of fact, the Center for Automotive Research did a study, and approximately 1.4 million jobs now would have been lost, in addition to the 6 million jobs that have been lost since 2000. To actually come here and not support that, when your father actually ran an automotive company, is I don't understand how you could just say, no, it was the wrong thing to do. It was the wrong thing to do to help the auto companies. The auto companies are so interrelated, it would have taken down the whole industry. It wouldn't have been a Ford, it wouldn't have been a GM problem, nor would it have been just a Chrysler problem. It would have been a problem for the whole industry. And the recent unfortunate situation in Japan is still being rippled through the entire industry. It doesn't matter where your customer base is at, everyone has been impacted by that recently. We need to have a person who is going to have the top position of this country understand what manufacturing actually means to this country. This country was built on manufacturing, and so far, since, quite frankly, World War II, all of the social programs that we have in this country is ridden on the backs of the middle class and the manufacturing base, and that has been dissipating, and hence we have the huge issues that we face now, huge deficits. We have unemployment that, quite frankly, doesn't look like it's trending down. It's just stagnant, and we have stagnant wages. We have stagnant growth. We need to fix this.
First, a little bit of background. I come to you wearing several hats. One is as a practicing orthopedic surgeon that's been practicing orthopedic surgery in the state of Michigan for the past 27 years of my career. The second is a director of a nonprofit research institute that focuses on what I believe and what I believe we've shown to be the most cost-effective way of cutting healthcare costs, and that is prevention. Just one of our studies, according to the federal government, has prevented about 1.7 million people a year from being injured in our country, saved $2 billion in healthcare costs every year. We spend $1,000 once in that series of studies. My third hat I wear, in addition to my role as a practicing orthopedic surgeon and as a clinical researcher focusing on prevention, is as a healthcare policy analyst. And I've been involved with that for the past 22 years of my career. Whether it's Republican or Democratic administrations, unfortunately what I found is the vast majority of folks that have been involved in healthcare reform have no functional medical knowledge, number one. Number two, most have never even been a patient in the system. And number three, when you talk to folks in Washington, they really don't want to hear from people outside the Beltway. I'm here for a reason, because one of the very few people that's been willing to listen to those of us on the front line, us grunts on the front line of healthcare delivery, whether we're patients or doctors or nurses or therapists, has been Congressman Thaddeus. And for years, he's asked me whenever a healthcare proposal comes up, whether it's Obamacare or Romney care, how does this play on the front line? You might find that to be, well, that's just what everybody in Washington does. Tell me, I've been doing this for 22 years. It's not. And in fact, I believe that President Obama and Mitt Romney had elicited the help and support and opinions of patients, and doctors, and nurses, and therapists, there would be no Obamacare, and there would be no Romney care. You see, one of the big problems in healthcare reform is its demagogue. Healthcare reform is not a right, left, conservative, liberal, Republican, Democratic issue. It's not an x-axis kind of problem issue. It's a y-axis. Up being freedom, down being oppression. And yet currently, people are being oppressed. Patients are, doctors are, nurses are, therapists are, because they're being oppressed by HMOs, insurance companies, and federal government bureaucrats, and state government bureaucrats. They're telling people how they can be treated, if they can be treated, where they can be treated, and when they can be treated. Now, we need a system that empowers people. That has been very receptive to that. Most folks in Washington aren't. Why? You might say, well, maybe they just don't know that there's another approach out there. I'm not a diplomat. I'm a grunt on the front line. The bottom line is the big money doesn't want that type of approach to come forward. People like that, there should be 1 million of them. There's one of them. There's one of them. You see, I've been a very outspoken critic of Obamacare. And I've gotten a lot of criticism for that. Not based on the facts. The facts, nobody can deny. The reason why I've been such a critic of Obamacare is the same reason I'm a critic of Romneycare. They're the same.
I'd just like to quickly touch upon the issue of climate change, which Governor Romney has talked about supporting in many instances, has advocated back in the past, in some ways has instituted back during his tenure as governor of Massachusetts. Climate change, which leads to cap and trade legislation, would be devastating to a manufacturing base in the United States, which is already hurt, which is already struggling to rebuild itself, so we can once again enjoy an America that works and produces and exports to the world. But the reason that we have in this conference to send the message to Mitt is very simple. One's policies stem from one's principles. What we've seen and what we'd like the governor to be aware of is that unfortunately he shares many principles in common with the President of the United States, Mr. Obama, that then lead to similar policies. In the area of cap and trade, the President and Mr. Romney both believe in climate change. In the area of health care, both the President and Mr. Obama believe in comparative effectiveness research and government controlling the supply of health care. As you see in the area of the Wall Street bailout, both Mr. Romney and President Obama believe that bondholders and shareholders on Wall Street should be held harmless with no restructuring, no downsizing, no management changes, no equity, and no preparation for the future to get the capital flowing back again. In all of these instances then, for the hardworking people with us here today and throughout the state of Michigan, the message is very simple. We want the ability to rebuild an America that works. We want to restore prosperity, job growth, and our economy so we can pursue our happiness. And yet, when we look at the present time, and President Obama and Mr. Romney, the front runner of the Republican Party for that post, we see very little difference. In fact, the people who are struggling to get this economy going, between the issues and the principles and the policies, we see that President Obama and Mr. Romney are less rivals than running